One important question in the process of humanizing Jesus is the question of what happened at Golgotha, obviously. I mean, if the guy actually physically died and resurrected, then obviously he is not human. So let's pretend we are forensic investigators, and let's look at the evidence. Well, according to some of the Gospels, Jesus spent 6 hours on the cross. According to other Gospels, he spent 9 hours at the cross. But 9 hours is the most. Between 6 and 9 hours is what Jesus spent on the cross. Which, by the way, happens to resemble the number of months I spent in jail, according to which source you read. And forensic investigators and scientists knows today that the reason why the Romans used crucifixion was because it was a particularly nasty way of dying, because it took such a long time. The victim would literally spend days on the cross before he died. And therefore it was an extremely cruel punishment. Now, the average number of hours a person would be hanging on the cross before he suffocated was 72 hours for an adult male, healthy male, the age of Jesus. Which means that Jesus spent somewhere between 63 and 66 hours short of what was necessary to physically kill him, purely statistically. At this point, some Christians will say, oh, but the Romans broke his legs. No, they didn't. Read the Gospels. They did not break his legs. They penetrated him with a spear on his right side. Important fact, right side. Had it been his left side, it would have punctured his heart. It didn't. Puncturing your lungs is not easy to survive 2,000 years ago, but possible, highly possible to survive, actually. Another clue is the herbs that they brought into the tomb together with Jesus' body. Well, some Christians will say that these were embalming herbs. Actually, they weren't. If you read the Gospels, you will clearly see that these herbs were of the type that were commonly used to heal wounds. Another clue is that he had an acidic vinegar tasting thing on a sponge given to him by Mary Magdalene, which might have been some sort of anesthesia that they knew about back in these days. I mean, why would Mary Magdalene give him vinegar? I mean, she adored the dude, right? Why would she want to torment him on the cross with vinegar? No way. However, of course, the most important point is the fact of that the dude walked out of his tomb 3 days afterwards. Now, if he had been physically resurrected by God the Almighty from death and back, don't you think God would have had the courtesy to heal his freaking wounds? Why would Peter or Thomas touch his wound on his right side? Why didn't God heal that wound if he could resurrect him from the dead? I mean, was he just lazy? Fact is that Jesus never died on the cross. He physically survived and he traveled east, where he changed his name to Isa and was recognized as an imam, teacher. And he lived until he was like 75 years old or something, before he was buried in Kashmir. And an extremely important spiritual realization is derived out from that fact, which is that it is impossible to have another man carry your sins. Because if Jesus didn't die, then he certainly didn't die for your sins. So, effectively 50% of the Christian dogma is hence purely logically explained as a hoax. And then of course comes the question, why is it a hoax?